Alright, what's up? It's my first video on the channel. Want to get into the HVAC trade, whether you're an apprentice or a FNG. A little history on me. Been doing this since 2016. Got out of the Army. I was infantry for about 9 years. Got a VA approved apprenticeship with the company. Worked there for a few years. Took over as service manager. And then myself and my brother-in-law eventually bought the company. We've had it since last October, so it's been a little over a year. And yeah, just go through a little bit of our trials and tribulations, stuff I've learned over the years as an apprentice and now as, I think, a pretty good service tech. And just want to share some of my knowledge with some of you new guys. You know, the more time goes on, the less service techs and HVAC techs that are out there. So it's a good trade to get into. There's good money to be made, but there's definitely a lot to learn, and it's pretty hard. So I guess we'll kind of jump into it. If you're wanting to get into the HVAC trade, we'll kind of start there. Well, I'll definitely say this. It is the 100% the hardest trade there is. It's harder than being an electrician, harder than being a plumber. It is the hardest trade. And I guess the reason for that is we do everything, right? So you need to be an electrician. You need to be a plumber. You need to know how to do ductwork. You need to know how to do the control side of things. You got to be a pipe fitter. You need to know how to do all of that. Whereas an electrician, you just need to be an electrician, right? So I would say before you jump into a trade school or working for somebody, think about it real hard, right? Because again, it ain't easy. When I started, I'd say I was probably 6 months in, and I was real close to telling my boss, hey man, this isn't for me, and quitting, right? Because I thought it was too hard. Eventually everything clicks, you get it, right? And then you're like, oh, okay, I got this. But in the interim, right, where you're first trying to learn, it ain't easy. With that being said, my company, we do everything. So gas, oil, refrigeration, residential, commercial, heat pumps, ice cream machines, medical fridges, everything. And we also work on every type of equipment and every brand. So there's companies out there that only do heating or, only do refrigeration. But we do everything, right? So, that makes it a little harder too. So thinking about getting into this, or, that's why you're watching this video, because you want to get into this. It ain't easy, right? So unless you want to ride around and clean boilers all day, every day, and not actually learn HVAC and be an actual tech, then yeah, I can do that, right? But if you want to be an actual service tech, know how to do everything involved with HVAC, heating, air conditioning, refrigeration, install, service, you want to be a well-rounded tech, it ain't easy, right? So definitely, we hire new guys, and before I hire them, I tell them, look, think about it. We'll have guys do essentially a ride along where, we take them on for a couple days. I usually, pay them for the days they work, but just get their feet wet so they can actually see what it's all about. So, definitely think on it, do some research, watch videos, whatever, right? But once you get to the point that you want to do it, or you think you can do it, people always ask me, like, oh, should I go to trade school? What should I do? I mean, I'm never going to say don't go to school, right? Because, learning is good. You need to learn, right, to do this job. But do you have to go to school? No. I mean, I didn't go to trade school. Most of my learning was on the job training. My ex-boss did send me to get my gas license, my oil license, right? But I didn't go to trade school. It was all on the job training. There's a bunch, almost every company out there, that I know of. If you want to learn and you don't know anything, they will hire you, right? And you can do on the job training. So we'll kind of start with that, I guess. Let's say you get hired for a company. Number one, show up early, right? If I tell you to meet me at 8 a.m., you should be there by 7:45, right? You want to make a good impression, that's what you got to do. Show up early, right? Very first thing. Second thing, you ain't going to be riding, getting in a truck and driving around by yourself right off the bat, right? Usually riding with somebody. So you get in a truck with somebody and you're riding with them, and we stop at a gas station and I get out and pump gas. I don't know, why don't you get out and take that little squeegee brush and wash the windows on the truck or something, right? That just shows initiative, right? It had nothing to do with HVAC. It's just showing what type of person you are, because we're both getting paid. I'm working because I'm driving the truck, I'm pumping the gas, and you're just sitting there, right? So how does that look? So that's hey, is there you got trash I can throw away? Ask the guy that, right? When he's out pumping gas, is there anything I can do aside from just sitting here doing nothing, right? So that's always a good thing, a good way to make a good impression. Show up early, try not to just sit there, right? The other thing is ask questions, right? So you don't know anything. What should I be learning? Those should be the very first questions you ask the guy. Show up with a notepad and a pen, right? That's another thing. You show up empty-handed, that doesn't show much initiative, right? You show up early, hopefully with some tools, right? And a notepad and a pen, ready to take notes, ready to learn, right? That means a lot, right? Any guy we hired or I hired that showed up with a notepad or pen, I instantly knew he might be all right, right? So there's things you can do outside of knowing the job, just showing initiative, that's going to go a really long way, right? In a company trusting in you to invest in you, right? Because if you don't know anything and I hire you, I know you don't know anything. I need to know that it's going to be worth my time and my company's money for you to learn, right, with us, right? So is it worth me investing in you? And again, things right off the bat for me to know it's worth investing in you are, can you show up on time, and do you have initiative, right? So definitely start there, right? There's basic things that you need to know in order to grow, right? If you're wanting to learn on the job and you want to learn everything on the job, it'll take you 10 years to learn this, right? So you need to learn on the job, but then you also need to put forth effort after work or at work. For example, if we're driving from one job to the next and you're in the passenger seat, not doing anything, you could be learning something, right? So ask questions, right? Watch videos, basics, right? That's what you need to know. Watching videos and going on manufacturers' websites, seeing what things look like is a huge thing too. Because I can say a bunch of names of stuff: temp control, aquastat, liquid line solenoid valve, and I can explain to you how they work all day long and what they do. But if you don't know what they physically look like, it's going to be hard. You're going to walk up to a piece of equipment and have no idea what you're looking at, right? So, initiative, willing to learn, putting forth effort outside of work to learn, and knowing and understanding the basics. That's where you're going to start when you get hired, or if you want to do an apprenticeship or anything like that. So, and appearance, right, is the other thing. You show up looking like a bag of hot mixed shit, and your pants are all ripped up and you're filthy dirty, you know, that's another thing, right? So appearance is a big part of it. So this video here, we're just going to talk about that. I'll do another one and we'll start diving a little deeper into the basic components, what they are, and what you should know within the first 30 days getting hired, not knowing anything, or an apprenticeship doing HVAC. So that'll be it for now. Next video, we'll talk about that, what you need to know within the first 30 days. But I'll go over it one more time with you. First day, show up early, right? Be in the right place. Don't look like a bag of crap. Have a notepad and a pen. Do some research on your own prior to showing up, right? And put forth effort. Again, even if it's cleaning windows on the truck when the guy's pumping gas, or throwing some trash away, right? That, trust me, that goes a long way for an employer, and whether or not you're worth them investing your time and money into. Because for the first year, first 1 to 2 years, you're costing the company money. Bottom line, you ain't making them nothing, you're costing them money, okay? So think on that, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.